Seems we're going back to our roots with this Sunavalon support, eh? Anyway, let's get right into it. Sunavalon support. What if? 3, 2, 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the multiverse. I am S-Code Knight, bringing you another What If Archetype video. And this one's going to be a bit of an experiment. You see, it's been a while since I've done a What If support video, but almost every archetype I've covered so far has actually gotten support in the real world.
Except Vision
Wind
Heroes.
Witches, Gimmick Puppets, Lyrilisk, even Battling Boxers.
I know, it's
Hence
weird.
why I'm making another video now. I'm going to do it on one of my personal favorite archetypes and see how it goes.
Nothing.
So, let's see if those executive douchebags at Konami can forget about Dark Magician for a few seconds and remember Sunavalon.
Hey, they've been giving
The
Pyro a
Sunavalon
lot of love
archetype,
lately.
as well as the
It's actually
Sunseeds
kinda
and
disturbing,
Sunvine
and it's making me
cards,
a little
are a
tired
link
of
deck that
Pyro.
focus on a defensive
little.
strategy. They were used by a crazy man, or Spectre from the Yugioh anime.
Who was one of
The
the best
archetype's main
characters.
focus is around these tree boss monsters, the
That were
Sunavalon
his mother,
cards.
because
They
anime.
themselves don't really have that much power around them. However, if you take care of them, they'll heal any damage you take and spit out more Sunvine Link monsters for you to use. The Sunvine Link monsters
Of course I got a phone call now. It's a scam.
themselves also gain special benefits depending on how powerful your tree is. Thrasher, for instance, the deck's main playmaker, gains power depending on how powerful your tree has become. The deck's defensive strategies don't really see that much play, so for this support I'll be mainly focusing on that. Just a few more cards to help boost their protection, and to help them summon more monsters.
Oh, that's
as
pretty
well
good.
as some recovery, because when it comes to extra deck fuel, these guys sure do burn it.
Yeah.
Also, just for
If you
fun,
compare it
I
to
decided to
Exceeds,
throw in an
liking.
evolution monster, since one of the archetype's main playmakers is in fact a vanilla.
They
So,
kinda need
I'm
the
S-Code
vanilla,
Knight,
though, to
and
stay
this is
a
the
vanilla,
support I
but,
made
you know, why
for the
not?
Sunavalon
This
archetype.
does feel kind of like right up your alley, given the fact that Loki is one of the best normal monsters. Sunseed Vira Bud, level 1 Earth, plant type monster. Should assume that they're all going to be Earth plants going forward, so let's just skip that part. And by skip it, I mean me explain it every time, despite the fact. Anyway, it's got 0 attack and 1200 defense. During your main phase 1, you contribute this card. Special summon 1 Sunvine monster or Sunseed normal monster from your deck. If an Avalon Link monster is link summoned to your extra monster zone, you can banish this card from your graveyard. That link summoned card cannot be destroyed by card effects until the end of the turn. Or cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects until the end of the turn. You can only use each effective Vira Bud once per turn. Or rather, you can only use each effective Vira Bud once per turn. Typo. Oh, really, for the first effect alone, it makes it a weird card. I mean, literally, Lone Fire Blossom is one of the best plant cards in the game, and it's literally just on summon, yeet, nope, big boss monster. And this is just basically this, but limiting it to Sunvines and Sunseeds, so, yeah. And the whole Link monster protection thing is, it's a handy bonus, I guess, if you're facing down an opponent that likes to get rid of your board and they can't casuist. I mean, if that thing is a quick effect, it makes it all the better, too, but it doesn't say it is. But, you know, if it were to be real and it becomes a quick effect, it's even better. Just like, okay, I'll target your guy. No you don't. Mind you, at that point, it's a little too broken, but then again, it's only going to last until the end of the turn, so they can just try again next turn. Unless you draw another one, in which case you can just do it again and have your protection again. Balinks into Balinks into Balinks. Anyway, yeah. It's a good start. Sunvine Gardener, level 3. It's got 800 attack and 1400 defense. If this card is normal summoned specifically, add 1 Sunvine or Sunseed monster from your deck to your hand, or special summon 1 Sunseed normal monster from your deck. Just hurry up and turbo at that level 1. You can't rely on unexpected die and 1-for-1 forever. If this card is used as a link material for the link summon of a plant monster, draw 1 card, then gain 500 life points. You can use each effect once per turn. This one's pretty good. I mean, it's a shame it's only on normal summon, but I guess the whole, because it could have been a good Strauss for the deck, but I guess this downside of it not being a special summon is the fact that you get to special summon the normal from the deck, so, you know, it's a bit of a trade-off. It's a little less reliant, given the fact that it can't be special summoned, but it's also like that. Also, side thing, anytime I see this, just like, that means I can use our flip summon, right? No, that's a different game mechanic entirely. That's just a me thing, I'm an idiot. Sunvine Spirit, level 2. It's got 800 attack and 1800 defense. Do the stats even matter on these things? They're not staying on the board for that long. I guess, I mean, it's better than 0-0, right? If you gain life points by the effect of a Sunvine or Sunavalon monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. During either player's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from your GY and inflict 400 points of damage to both players' life points. You can only use each effective Sunvine spirit once per turn. Now, the 400 damage thing is not very impressive, but it's mostly so you can restart your tree's effect, heal, and then get another monster on the field. So the minimal burn is negligible. Also, it's funny. I like the idea of if you go that this could also help you win in time. And let's face it, if your opponent's down, you can freaking cowboy for game with this. It's a little bit more specific, but if you can't Sparks for game, this for game instead. Also, it could force a draw. I mean, this is not a Ring of Destruction situation. And the whole it special summons if you gain life points is like, that's pretty good. I mean, you're going to gain life points most likely on your opponent's turn, so this thing could just special summon itself immediately and then they'll try to run it over. But it's got a decent butt, so maybe they can't run it over. Who knows? So, yeah, it's a good card. I like it. Now for the extra deck monsters. Sunvine Paladin, a dark monster. It's a Link 1. I think this is the first Link in what is it worth, but I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong, to be fair, but, you know, one of the first. We don't have many of them, at least. Anyway, it's got 800 attack, and its requirements is 1 plant normal monster, so you can go into this with Sunseed Loki. If a Sunavalon Link monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, destroy this card, which I think is something all of the lower Links have. If this card is special summoned, you'll return any number of plant Link monsters from your graveyard to your extra deck, then reduce the attack for all monsters by 200 for each returned card. So it reduces the field to rubble, not just your opponent's field, both players' field. Mind you, the Sunavalons are not exactly beat sticks, so it's less of a detriment to you. I mean, there's Thrasher, which is the main guy, but this isn't going to affect him too much, depending on how many you have in the graveyard. Plus, it's great to get the reshuffling stuff done. And plus, let's face it, you're not summoning this thing legitimately. If you're summoning this thing legitimately, something's gone wrong. Or I guess you just don't want to wait for the healing, to be fair. Or you don't want to wait for the specific scenario, you just want to do it yourself. Alright, during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card, special in 1 Sunvine monster, Link 1 monster. This thing can trade up for Thrasher, that's the thing we care about. That is banished or in your GY, except Sunvine Paladin. You can only use each effective Sunvine Paladin once per turn. Interesting, so I guess after you reduce everything down to rubble, we'll just say, well, I shouldn't say rubble because you're not destroying, we're weakening everything. We can then tag this thing out, and then if we have like a Thrasher in the graveyard, and yes, I'm going to be mentioning Thrasher again a lot because he's the best one, at least of the Link ones. And, you could just tag this Paladin up for Thrasher, and then just be like, oh look, everyone's weaker. I'm not. So yeah, this is a really good Link one to start with. It's better than most of the other ones except Thrasher. So yeah. Sunvine Blaster. It's an Earth Link one, I should say. 800 attack, takes 1 Sunvine Link monster. Ooh, so you gotta use a Link monster to make this thing, so it's gotta be extra spicy. If a Sunavalon Link monster you control leaves the field by card effect, destroy this card. Yeah. Anyway, if this card is special summoned to a zone a Sunavalon Link monster points to, you can target that monster, negate the effects of face-up card to your opponent. What? You can target that monster, negate the effects of face-up card to your opponent controls up to that monster's link. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So on this thing, if it's summoned to a zone of Sunavalon's pointing to, you can, for every link marker that Sunavalon has, let's say it's a link 3, you can negate the effects of 3 of your opponent's monsters. Unfortunately, you're targeting those monsters, but, you know, for negating effects, there should be some limitation, not just be like instant buy. If this card's activated during your opponent's battle phase, you can also destroy those cards. Ooh. So if you attack your opponent, so your opponent's dealing damage to you and you're healing, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm also gonna negate your effect and blow you the funk up. I don't think this is better than the last one, but I do think this is a good thing to add into the extra deck, if only has a 1 or 2 of. I mean, you're putting this in before you're putting in the healer, right? And plus Sunavalons, you know, the extra I can get. But is this worth using another Link monster for? Well, probably not, but you're not something legitimately in the first place, so who gives a funk? But then again, to be fair, negating your opponent's monsters' effects is a pretty valuable effect, and popping them as well, so I guess it would be worth one of the lower Link monsters. And it's only a Link 1, so you're just using up one of the... I'm gonna have Thrashers, and I've only got healers, well, let's just go to that. Just use it to go into this. It's the old Balinks into Secure Gardener to use frickin' the other thing. Or no, it's Illumirage into Secure Gardener, I should be saying. And it was a Solomon Great Link 1. Anyway. Sunvine Prodigy, a level 2 light monster, and it's an evolution monster. It's got 800 attack and 0 defense. It takes 1 Sun and Seed normal monster. Like it has 0 defense, it's like it's a reference it's supposed to be a link, but it's not. But it's not. If you control no monsters in your extra deck, in your extra monster zone, you can banish 1 EXP card from your GY. Special summon 1 Sunavalon Link monster to unoccupy your extra monster zone. However, its effect cannot be activated this turn. So this thing on summon, if you got, let's say it's turn 1 and you decide not to go into a Sunavalon Link one, you could just frickin' go into this thing instead and then just make a tree. Actually, you don't. Normally it would be like you go into Loki and then you go into the Link 1 Sunavalon, you gotta start from there. Instead, you can use this thing, go into Evolution, summon this thing with Bunker, and then summon your Link 4 tree if you want to immediately. Granted, you can't use its effect this turn, but odds are you're not going to combo for much longer with Sunavalon, so small sacrifice. During either player's turn, you contribute this card. Special summon 1 Sunvine Link monster from your extra deck, then take damage equal to its attack. The Sunavalons don't exactly Sunvine Links don't really have any attack. Well, okay, they got some attack points, but they're not, again, except for Thrasher, they're not exactly beat sticks. Why do I keep bringing up Thrasher? It's the only one I remember off the top of my head that isn't the trees. You're going to use each skill of Sunvine Prodigy once per turn. Interesting. So, you contribute this thing and then get a Sunvine Link points. You can trade this thing out for Thrasher, and then you're going to take its 800 damage. Well, actually, it's equal to its attack, not its original attack. So, if you got a big boy on the field, you're taking a lot of burn damage. But fortunately, if you got the tree on the field, you're going to gain all those life points right back and then get another monster off of it. So, it's a sacrifice you're going to have to make. Unless that would kill you, in which case, don't make it. But that's kind of obvious. So, yeah, this is a really good starter. Too bad evolution monsters don't exist IRL. I don't know. Sunavalon, I think that's supposed to be Gaia, or Gia. It is a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Earth monster. Plant fusion effects with 0 attack and 0 defense. Why are they getting a fusion randomly? I guess just because Spectre never got a fusion monster, he never got to go along with that trend, he was just links for days. Or they just thought it would be fun. Anyway, it takes 1 Sunavalon Link monster plus 2 or more plant type monsters. If this card is fusion summoned, it gains attack equal to the link rating of the Sunavalon Link monster used to summon it times 1000. Which is interesting because I think Spectre had a trap card or something that had that effect for his Link 4 tree. Yeah, that gave it turned into a beat stick. It is kind of like a Cyber's Clock Dragon too, in a sense, except instead of sending monsters to the top of the deck, sending cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard, even with the link rating, it just gained 1000 inherently. Which is interesting. Also, gain 500 points for each monster used to link summon it. So I guess that's 500 points in general. So let's say you use the minimum of 3, you get 1500 life points. Not bad. This card is unaffected by the activated effects of monsters with equal or less attack than this card. Interesting, so it's instant immunity on summon. And obviously you can only control one of the Sunavalon G at a time. Thank goodness we're not in MR4 anymore. Do not summon this thing in MR4. Well, I guess you summon it if you've already got the tree on the field, in which case, fine. Yeah, this thing is an instant, I'm going for game, and you're gonna risk everything to get it, but hey, you know what? There's something admirable about being like, okay, I can already see Master Duel replays in my head of being like, okay, I'm gonna summon all the high levels and then use the fusion summon this thing to get an OTK. Like, you can just picture the Master Duel replays showing up in your feed constantly. Am I projecting? A little. But you know what I mean. Oop, now the spells and traps. So there's gonna be an evolution card in here. Sunvine Salvation. Normal spell. You can shuffle up to 3 Sunvine, Sunseed, and or Sunavalon monsters that are banished or in your GY back into the deck. And if you do, draw 2 cards. Ooh, a bit of their own Pot of Avarice, with a bit of Pot of Acquisitiveness for them, which is really handy because they go through obviously they go through the extra deck like no one's spool. I mean, really, that's just about every deck nowadays, but you know what I mean. You cannot special summon from your extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for plant-type monsters. You can only use one of this thing per turn. That's a pretty fair trade-off. You know, you're getting your own Pot of Acquisitiveness for an in-archetype, and you get to draw 2 cards. You're losing the plants, which was your entire deck anyway, so it's like, hey, oh my god, what a high cost. Nothing. Sunvine Sanctuary. Field Spell. If this card's activated, add 1 Sunseed or Sunvine monster from your deck to your hand. Or, if you control a Sunavalon Link monster in the extra deck monster zone, you can set 1 Sunvine spell or trap from your deck instead. This is extremely good. Then again, it's a field spell made in 2023. Of course it's good. I like how if you got nothing, it can literally just search the card you need immediately, which is something that just about every field spell does. It also gives you a benefit if you're already set up. I mean, granted, if you're already set up, the search alone probably would have been enough, but then it gives you an extra thing. And not to mention, the Sunavalons have the Sunvines, or whatever the frig you want to call the archetype as a general overstatement. The Suns have their own trap card that's like, on activation, negate your opponent's whole board. They have their own in-archetype skill drain. So it's literally just like, you can set the thing straight from the deck. Granted, it can't be activated that turn, but you're just setting your skill drain. It's a one-sided skill drain. That's bonkers, and it makes it instantly worth whatever the consequences. If the effect of a Sunavalon or Sunvine Link monster you control would be negated, or if a Sunavalon Link monster you control would leave the field, you can destroy this card instead. You can only use 1 Sanctuary per turn. So it also protects your big trees from being destroyed or negated or anything like that. It's really, I mean, the fact that we're putting defensive from negation is a little interesting, because you're not going to be like, if this card would be negated, do this. It's usually just like, if this card would leave the field, no, me instead. So it gives an extra layer of protection thing, and you need that tree, and that tree needs all the protection you can get. And yeah, if you negate the tree's effect, your entire archetype just went, uh-oh. Except for Thrasher. But if Thrasher is negated too, then it's like, crap baskets. So yeah, this field spell would have been an obvious 3 just from the first line of text alone, but just the extra additions just made like, I gotta find a way to somehow run 5 with this thing. Sunvine Fusion. Obviously there's a fusion spell because there's a fusion monster. Fusion summon 1 plant type monster, or rather 1 plant monster using monsters you control or in your hand as fusion material, or 1 fusion plant, or fusion 1 plant monster by banishing monsters from your GY. You must include 1 plant link monster. Also, you can have special summon monsters this turn and you activate this effect, except Sunseed, Sunvine, or Sunavalon monsters. One hell of a run-on sentence. You can only use 1 Sunvine fusion per turn. Okay, so this thing can be a normal polymerization, which is, there's a reason they keep printing in other versions of the thing. It's just a good solid card that keeps working. Also, I like the fact that it uses the graveyard, so in a sense, it's kind of like you're digging up weeds in order to make a prosperous plant out of it. Also, the fact, so that's a bit of good symbolism, with also the fact it's not using the deck. I freaking hate that mechanic using it for the deck. If there's cards gonna use it for the deck, there should be some like high restriction to it. Like your opponent has a full board of like 5 monsters, and it's like, okay, it's either this or I die or something. It's not like, oh, what's that? Your opponent breathe? Use your entire deck. I don't know. But anyway, that's unrelated. This thing's obviously you're gonna play this. You're gonna play the fusion monster. That's just a no duh. I mean, you could use normal polymerization, which does have more support, granted, but yeah, you're probably just gonna use this. I mean, you can set it with the field spell, and you could use it instantly, considering it's a normal spell, so you're fine there. Actually, I wonder if you could. Actually, I could search just about any card here, unless it's a quick play on this, or a trap, of course. So yeah, I do really like that. And if you got a freaking Sunavalon tree in the graveyard, which you probably do in order to link up and all that jazz, you can just use it in the graveyard to make the OTK even stronger. Which is like, again, I see the Master Duel replays in my feed already. Sunvine Prison, continuous trap. Activate only if you control a Sunavalon Link monster in the extra monster zone. It cannot be tributed, also it's unaffected by your opponent's card effects. No kaijus! You could have just said that and been like, done, in, it's already in my deck, I don't know what you're talking about. I know it's not real, but it's already there, you can't stop me. Wall monster is in a zone it points to. Oh, I should have finished. Well, granted, it's still a good thing to have. So if your tree is not linked up with anything, it is open season for it. But you're probably gonna have something in there anyway, hopefully, unless it's like the first turn. But your opponent cannot kaiju on the first turn yet. Give it time. Give it time. We'll have an archetype that can attack during your opponent's battle phase. Give it time. That's a pretty fair trade-off, though. Like if you're leaving your tree wide open, yeah, someone's gonna come over and knock it down, and we can't stop it. If your opponents and face negate the effects of all. You couldn't have reread a couple of these cards. I know you have a life and you got 5,000 things to worry about other than making this series, but it's like, come on. If your opponents and face negate the effects of all monsters they control that did not declare an attack this turn. Okay, so I guess like your opponent realizes, oh wait, this tree is gonna heal you and get stronger. I'm just gonna stop my attacks there. It's gonna be like, no you're not. Or either you can, but because you did, your stuff that didn't attack, negated. And then you're facing Vanilla Beatsick and it's like, oh no, the horror. Which I guess is how you would imprison them. It's like, okay, you didn't attack, we go to jail. Wait, you're putting me in jail for not committing assault? Yep, welcome to 2023! So, yeah. I guess it's the punish not being ballsy or something, I don't know. It's an interesting little effect. You can only have one of this thing face up. Also, if you do not control a Sunavalon Link monster, destroy this card. Well, you're gonna have one on the field, obviously, but you know you gotta have a bit more consequences. Honestly, it's just a solid card for the first book, and the other one just sort of like that's a bonus, I guess. You know, it protects me from kaijus. That's what I'm worried about. After that, it's just sort of like, and then bonus. Sunvine Backlash, normal trap. Actually, we did not see an EXP card. I don't think, anyway. So that's interesting. I guess you could use it. Then again, there's like 5,000 Heart of Evolutions, so I guess you could just use one of those. I mean, people still play the normal Poly. So I guess you could just use a normal EXP card. If your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect while you control a Sunvine or Sunavalon monster, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that spell or trap. Or if your opponent, I guess this is supposed to be a counter trap. Or if you control a Sunavalon Link monster, place that negated a monster in a zone that Link monster points to on your side of the field. You love your run-on sentences. Its effects are negated and it becomes a plant-type monster. You can only use one Sunvine Backlash per turn. Okay, so if your opponent activates a spell, trap, effect, or monster, it negates it straight up. But if you control a Sunavalon Link monster and that was a monster effect that was negated specifically, you can then steal that monster and put it in your monster zone, probably behind the tree, and it becomes a playing monster. The effects are negated, which is how you balance it out in the proper way of doing it. And odds are it's not going to be a Sunvine or Sunavalon, so you can't use it to make things. But I guess I got some generic things that just need plants, like, I don't know, a Romage Jasmine, or something like that, then you're fine. I mean, I think there probably are some Sunvine monsters just like, hey, just give me a plant, that's all I need, bruh. Seriously. I mean, it doesn't become treated as a Sunvine monster, but I guess if you want it, again, if this thing somehow becomes real, that's how you could do it. Anyway, you can only use one Sunvine Backlash per turn. It's a handy thing to have. I assume it's supposed to be a counter trap, so it's like, it's a good counter trap that protects your thing, and can also be a snatch steal. So, yeah.
Bonus!
And with that said, that's another episode of What If Support done. Will this mean that Sunavalon will get support in the future?
Maybe.
Well, if that happens, I know what I'm posting on this channel.
I told
Let
you
me
so.
know what you thought of the Sunavalon archetype, as well as Spectre as a whole. Also, what do you think of these support cards? Drop a comment down below, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!
I'm just gonna leave my comments here. Spectre is one of the better characters from Brains, if only because, although it might just be because, you know, you see a lot of characters who are flat, and then it's like, and then here's this complete psychopath. You know, it's a change-up, and it's like, whenever he's on screen, something interesting is going to happen. Whether it be blue main faceplant, and extra linking, or some other weird stuff. Unfortunately, the majority of the time, we just Revolver's right-hand man, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with having that character, but it's like, you gonna do something at some point? No, I'm just going to help my master Revolver, and then when I do something, I'm going to lose 2 out of 3 times. And, although one of them was off screen, but I'm not gonna count the one where it's like I is taking on just about everybody and their mother, so yeah, we're not gonna count that one. I'll ignore that Discord ping. Yeah. So, as for the archetype itself of Sunavalon, it's a fine archetype, you know, not one of my favorite archetypes, I wouldn't go that far, just, you know, it's an okay one. I know a guy who likes it a lot, so, you know, it's good. And the support would certainly help it out, but I mean, supporting any archetype would do good for anything. I mean, Watt's got 3 cards, and that's not making them meta, but they definitely freaking needed it, you know? And this thing is gonna help them, would help them a lot if it existed. It's funny how the best monsters in Evolution, one of the better monsters in Evolution monster, it's like, too bad those don't exist IRL. Although you better trademark that quick S code, because if they ever do make it, you're not gonna be able to file copyright unless you do it. Ay. So yeah, a friend of mine will be happy with some of these. Maybe he'll click on the video because of this, who knows. But yeah, other than that, it's like, yeah, it's fine. Inspector's fun, so good work, S code. And yeah, we'll just end it there. So until next time, bye.